6:46. Let me sit down. Jesus prayed in the garden. In the book of Susanna, Susanna walked in her Lord's beautiful garden. There are also dangers in a garden. Like Judas Iscariot, who led his enemy to Christ. Or the two wicked men that lay wait for Susanna. So we will begin by talking about modest dress. Modest dressed. You never know what's lurking in the garden, right? You never know who's watching. So we
They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us. Somebody tell them wake up, wake up, wake up. Somebody tell them wake up, wake up, wake up. Somebody tell them wake up. Now the truth is out, better know it with no doubt. Zechariah 11 and 5, go and see what that's about. No, we ain't the same people and they don't treat us equal. How many times we gotta see the same old sequel? We live in They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us, no they don't love us. They don't love us. Somebody tell them wake up, wake up, wake up. Somebody tell them wake up, wake up, wake up. Somebody tell them wake up. Now the truth is out, better know it with no doubt. Zechariah 11 and 5, go and see what that's about. No, we ain't the same people and they don't treat us.
So, as you prepare your garden to grow seeds, because your ultimate goal is to put seeds into good ground, that means you have to fertilize and water those plants and stuff. I do have some examples of seeds. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what seeds are. How many need to see what seeds look like? I didn't think so. Okay, so everybody knows what seeds look like. Now there is an array of ways you can start a garden. Starting your seeds indoors ahead of the last frost. You can start your seeds outside in a greenhouse. You can find those things on Amazon very cheaply, or maybe you have something already established, like an outside greenhouse. If I was going to do it outside, I probably would do a cheap version on Amazon or something. I've grown seeds inside. I don't have an outhouse, for that. Planting your seeds after you did them in the greenhouse and you know where you're going to put them in your garden, you have to be mindful of spacing. So that's another thing you're just going to have to learn. Gardening is a learning expedition. You're always going to be learning. You're going to have some failures. You're going to have some growth. But you end up, your main goal is to have something to put up, something to put away. That's your main growth. You might not get that all the time, but you are able every year to increase in your growth. To be able to get to where you need to be to what? Build your Lord's houses, build your pantries, put things away, right? Unless you're trusting in Babylon and you think Babylon ain't never going to go away. Right? So we're going to talk about, I do know there are other sisters that are coming up after this discussion, not tonight, but we have how many sisters in here that actually garden? How many? Huh? How many sisters actually garden, have tried their hands in gardening? Okay, so that means that you all have skills to help another sister build. We all need, we're going into a time where we all going to have to need each other. We're going to have to share information. Can you imagine when stuff start to fall apart and you just got you by yourself? What you going to do? That's why I would like to remind you of 1 Corinthians 10:17, I believe. I love this scripture. It is one bread, one body, all partakers. We are all partakers. One body, one bread. We have to be in it for each other, not just for by yourself and your little unity right here and your little friend over there. We have to get to the point where we have to build together. And gardening is that. This is God's master garden right here. He is raising us up, all raising us up. You know? So I know prophets can do that better than I am. I ain't trying to do it, but there's a lot of scriptures. So I've talked about seed selecting and starting yourself out, your plants outside. I've talked about your failures so you won't have to fret. Everyone has those. We went over that, right? I said that God is the master gardener. Okay, your harvest. I mentioned that. Your vegetables, your fruits, or your seeds. You must, in time, learn how to preserve those things, either by canning, freezing, dehydrating, or fermenting. And also, of course, I like to mention YouTube University. There is a wealth of information on YouTube University. I know some sisters say, well, I need hands-on experience. I don't know how you're going to get it. Unless you get out there and put your hands to the plow. And we don't have too many times for excuses. We're running out. So going into this last scripture in Jeremiah 29:5. You have to prepare your soil. Okay, preparing your soil. I mentioned garden rakes. I mentioned hoes. I mentioned shovels. I mentioned tillers. Put your hand to the plow, crank it up, get the hoe in and digging. You got to turn the soil over. Okay, you got to turn it over. Yes, you got to turn the soil over.
Okay, what about the differences between the soil when it's acid and alkaline?